where insurance rates are going up.
All right, it is 10:30. We'll call this meeting to order.
Yeah, those convection storms are
Deborah,
huge.
as soon as we have everybody's attention, we'll call the meeting to order.
Meeting is called to order.
As soon as we have everybody's attention, we'll call the meeting to order. Deborah, roll call, please.
Absolutely. Walker,
Here.
Selden,
Here.
Bentley,
Here.
and Byron.
Here.
Excellent, thank you. You have the meeting minutes in the agenda packet. Are there any changes, revisions?
No.
Seeing none, they're approved as submitted. Member forum, Deborah.
And certainly, we have 5 speakers for the forum today. I'm going to go over the guidelines, and for those in person, if you'd be so kind, when I call your name to sit at the end of this table, you're welcome to stand as well so we can capture your voice on a recording device here. Members are welcome to speak during the designated member forum at Rossmore Walnut Creek board and committee meetings, either in person or over Zoom. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes and must clearly state their full name and Rossmore address before beginning. If speaking on behalf of another member, a signed consent form is required. To speak, you must submit a member forum slip at the start of the forum. Instructions are also included. Please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded. By attending and participating, including the open forum, attendees agree to and release RWC from all liability for their voice and or likeness being recorded and broadcast for any lawful purpose without compensation. The first speaker today is Ronnie Korshen, and Ronnie submitted an email. I'm going to start the timer here. Hello, I'm Ronnie Korshen at 2201 Golden Ring Road, number 4. There has been a lot of discussion about attracting new residents. If that is indeed our ambition, it seems to me that the Gateway Clubhouse should be refurbished to be more in keeping with the modernity of the event center in Creekside. The current building is very dark and dated, especially compared to the bright and inviting clubhouses I've seen in Florida, where they have soaring ceilings, windows open to the glory of the outdoor foliage. Gateway is old and frumpy and doesn't give off an exciting, inviting impression. I would like this matter to be on the committee's agenda and would like to know how to affect that. Okay, and then our next speaker is Susan Manetta. If you'd be so kind as to come to the table.
Where do you want me?
Oh,
Can I stand here?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Susan Manata. I live at 2201 Pine Knoll Drive, Unit 2, Entry 3. I've been riding the, it's about Rossmore Bus Transportation Service. I've been riding the Rossmore bus several times a week since moving to Rossmore in 2017. I have low vision. I do not drive. I appreciate the Rossmore bus service, which enables me to be independent. Safety is important to me. The Rossmore buses are big and strongly built. They are visible. They have important safety features. The drivers are competent professionals. Because I have low vision, I especially appreciate the distinct size and shape of the Rossmore bus. I can see it coming, whereas I would not necessarily recognize a car or a van as my ride. I do not support the idea of introducing autonomous vehicles into Rossmore. The Presto shuttle was not a success. I do not want to be trapped inside an autonomous vehicle with no driver if something goes wrong. I'm also concerned about the risks posed by batteries in case of a collision. I'm not asking for evening bus service to events in Rossmore. Because of my low vision and night blindness, I do not go out in the dark anymore. Weekend service is not a priority for me, although I would use it if we had weekend Rossmore bus service. I do not plan to use the weekend Easy Rider program. I think Rossmore is going in the wrong direction to invite residents to call for individual vehicles to drive into Rossmore and take them places. I'm in favor of public transit, not more cars on the road. Please note that the County Connection number 4 shuttle route will change in January 2026. It will only go from Walnut Creek BART to Botello Drive and back to BART. Botello Drive is several blocks away from the downtown Walnut Creek Kaiser bus stop on Newell that I usually use. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Emily Van Vliet. You'd be so kind as to come to the table.
Hello, my name is Emily Van Vliet, 3761 Terra Granada Drive, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Rossmore Tennis Club and to thank the planning committee. I don't think it's premature. I know it's on the agenda later. I know that you've included $30,000 for the funding of Buckeye Court 7 and 8 as a priority for B in 2026 capital budget, and I want to thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker is on Zoom. Albion is the handle name. Albion, I'm unmuting you. Please go ahead and state your full name and Rossmore address.
They were still on mute.
Is she unmuted?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Albion Becknell. I live at 1361 Singingwood Court, Unit 4. I am here to speak against the current Rossmore Club non-resident policy as it stands today. As a limited income resident, I do not want to pay for any non-resident use of Rossmore Walnut Creek common facilities, nor do I want to see any further increase in the coupon regarding these facilities. For example, the room reservation today system seems to be strained to the point that groups I am in had to move numerous times this year. Any decrease in the pressure on our common facilities can only have a positive effect on our resources and budget. I realize there are numerous opinions on this subject, so I am suggesting a modification of the current policy. I think we should cap the 20% resident allowance per club at a membership of 50 members. That would result in 10 outside members per club. It is also consistent with the fitness center policy of issuing 10 guest passes per year, free guest passes per year for Rossmore residents. I also suggest that to ease the burden on clubs with more than 10 members, that we allow them to immediately freeze new non-members and use attrition to reduce the non-members to 10. Also, clubs not in compliance are who are shown to be cleverly manipulating membership to get the amended policy, to bypass the amended policy, would be penalized for 5 years with a immediate zero non-resident restriction. Remember, 20% of 50 is 10, 20% of 100 is 20, 20% of 200 is 40. That's a lot of people, times how many clubs do we have? Thank you for your consideration of this request of restriction of the non-resident club policy.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Linda Mariano. Linda, if you'd be so kind as to come up to the table.
Hi, I'm Linda Mariano, 2645 Ptarmigan Drive, number 3. I'm here today as the Vice President of Education for the Ceramic Arts Club. And I'm joined by Pamela Liang, our president, as well as Darila Green, member at large on the board. And we're here today because we're making a request for a community project. 2 months ago, 2 of the Bay Area's prominent artists came to the club and gave a presentation about community projects that they had done. John Toki and Tom Franco. John Toki was one of the engineering advisors of our beautiful totems on the totem patio. That project was done 15 years ago. John has led projects since then, not only locally in Danville, in San Ramon, but Oakland and across the country as well as around the world. He is contributing his time to this next project as an advisor as well as an engineer. We think that the area adjacent to the totems is a perfect place to enhance that, we call it the meadow, out behind the ceramic studio. And we would like to put up a mural, which might be multiple sections out in that meadow area. So we're asking for your consideration and approval for that project. We are connected through John with fabricators, tile
I'm
setters.
sorry, that is time.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes the member forum.
All right, thank everybody for that. Chair's report, just a few brief comments. Today, the committee will be introduced to items for the 2026 capital budget. This is an important step in identifying what capital projects are contemplated for the upcoming year, along with staff recommendations on priorities. The committee will consider both the projects and priorities in preparation for presentation to the board in January, with a targeted approval at the board meeting in February. The Finance Committee will be reviewing the funding available from the capital fund, so this will be an iterative process in the meantime. Both the board and the community at large will have the opportunity to weigh in before approval in February. With that, Ann Matola, capital project update.
See if all my things work today. A lot of them. Wonderful. So this is going to be a review of the projects that we have in progress. Starting with the pavement program, I think that folks know that we have finished part of this, but we have a section that was deferred because of rain at Rossmore Parkway and Golden Ring Road. So hopefully on the 17th and 18th, we'll get a break in the weather. If not, we'll punt it and look for another time to do that work. But I think the forecast may show one of those days dry as of now. But such is the life of a project manager trying to schedule and reschedule these. So Martine's been trying to follow it and work with the company on alternates just to have backups. The building finishings replacement program, this year we paid for the replacement of some of the event center carpet and the refinishing of that floor, and that is complete. The roof replacement program, we were working on the skylight that's at the fitness center. When you walk in, it's to the right. It's part of the original building. When we were trying to manage cash flow for the year because of the pickleball project, we decided to pause on that and punt it into next year. For the pickleball courts, Huff, who's our contractor, our prime contractor, they actively mobilized on October 20th. You'll see surveying going on, and they're doing a combination of surveying for the pickleball facility proper and some of the location of the golf irrigation line. So that is happening now. And we're planning a groundbreaking tomorrow, and there is going to be a break in the weather tomorrow. We have a very good source, AccuWeather. So if you can join us there at 10 o'clock, it'll be kind of a brief ceremony. We're gonna save all the big guns for the ribbon cutting, but the pickleball club has been very kind to host a coffee hour after that. Okay, so for the RWC admin relocation, further Jeff, if there's anything else.
Not a whole lot to report. We're still proceeding with the sales and purchase agreement for 1220 property known as the medical center. And then we're still evaluating opportunities for consolidated administrative functions at other locations.
For food and beverage, we are proceeding on developing the contract with the food operating partner. It's a different type of an agreement, so that is the work that is continuing with that project. The Hillside Park Space Master Plan, which used to appear on this as the lawn bowling turf conversion. And just as we've been delaying the project, more users of the Hillside space have been expressing their needs, like at Bocce. When you look at the growth of that club, there are things that it seems to make sense that we look at the whole open space area and figure out how to best reprogram, possibly do it in a phasing plan. We were going to start that at the end of this year, but again, that was pushed into next year as well as part of cash flow management due to pickleball. And the same thing with the golf course lake liner replacement. We're hoping that we can get the study done next year so we can build it in 2027. NetSuite implementation, all that continues. At the end of September, we launched on the resident services, community services side, the Vermont systems, which is kind of our it's ERP for community services. So it does a lot of the back office functions and what the residents end up seeing and where they engage is when we do the room reservations. So we're actively working with them. and that's impacting aquatics and fitness, golf, reservations, excursions, events. So it's really kind of this really great single solution that'll hopefully improve service and administrative efficiencies.
And just interrupt.
Yes.
So when you say launch, you're really just looking or implementing the system, but it's not launched to residents yet.
Correct. Correct. Thank you for allowing me to say that. So basically, it takes about 3 to 4 months to migrate to test the environments. We're still targeting at the end of the first quarter to go live, and we've been working with my Rossmore and on a same timeline. So that's been our target, and everything. I mean, it seems like a very achievable target. For the golf bridge replacement, there's really no update, as we've had some transitions in staff and kind of top up these, big projects going. It's work that can continue into next year, since we wanted to fund the bridge next year. So you'll see more activity happen in the first quarter of next year. The golf course pump replacement was complete this year. Phase 3 solar is the event center pickleball solar, and so, excuse me. So we've actually incorporated that into the pickleball project, and we're gonna see product start arriving for that, just to store on site on the roof of the event center next week. For the pool spa and replastering, the pools are curing.
Oh my God, it looks so beautiful.
Yeah, so the pools are curing.
Sparkling.
Yes.
Clear water.
Yeah, so the water is clear, but now what we need to do, we need to kind of do the white glove and the cleaning of the decks and the walls and all that, because as you can imagine, it creates quite like this wonderful, perfect layer of dust that we have to clean.
Will they consider adding any more mats to the area? Because people still complain about the slippery cement. Can they add anything while they're doing that?
We're not adding anymore at this point, because I think part of what we also see from and actually if you listen to the Aquatics and Fitness Committee, you have residents that are kind of running, jogging, and if you're walking, as we ask on the pool deck, it's actually pretty safe. So it's a combination of the mat in the high traffic areas, and the rest of the deck does have a tooth in it. But again, it's why these are inherently hazardous surfaces if you run on them, because there's always going to be kind of that. So we can, if you overmat it, now you're kind of adding something to the closure of the facility, because those have a different type of cleaning cycle and all that type of stuff. So what we're trying to do is to balance it. So you have the engineered approach, and now we need the behavioral approach that we have to address. It's fun all the time.
And how long does it take to heat it, that huge amount of water?
I don't know how many days it's been in the process.
And it's
of
been
warming up.
slated to open.
We still think we're gonna, do it at the end of it may be the Monday after the holiday weekend, which I think is December 1st, but yeah, everything's on target. What really, I will tell you, the one date that we don't control is when it gets its final inspection. And because this is around the holidays, we ask for people's patience. If we can't get the county health inspector there, they just need to do a sign off on the balancing of the chemicals.
It sure looks pretty.
Yeah, they did a great job with it.
Nice.
The entry control facility generator replacement was complete. For the median turf replacement, I think John has one more section he was gonna start. I think they're working on it. I think I saw Cruz out there. I don't know, I see Cruz and I don't know if it's part of the turf replacement and other things. I haven't done a check-in with John, but that will be complete the end of this year. And then everything else have just been projects listed that there's been no activity on.
Thank John for planting those golden rain trees. Yay, we have golden rain trees
You
again.
have 3 of them.
They're beautiful too. I mean,
Things are
'cause
too
they
close
get
together. So Janet is going to be advising the landscape department. Any other comments on the capital project update? Thank you, Matt. So some verbal updates, food and beverage.
So we're still in the evaluation process from the RFP and finalizing all of the moving parts within that, and expect that an announcement will be made here in the coming weeks.
How about transit? Any update now that the government is reopened?
I think that grants coming to California will still be a little bit lower on the priority list and the reopening process, but we do hope that we'll hear something in the very near future with regards to working with Contra Costa Transit Authority. We're also looking at other solutions or interim solutions prior to that funding maybe being available. So hopefully we'll have something more definitive to report here in the next month.
Good luck. How about resident services? And that's really about the Vermont system.
That was the Vermont systems, so I kind of did that update under the NetSuite line.
Rossmore.com, my Rossmore. Any update?
I don't have anything other than I know that they're on target too, as we're working parallel to meet at the end of the first quarter.
Any questions on those items? If not, new business.
Do you want to do ceramics first or just do the order?
I'm sorry,
Did you want to do this one first?
it's the public art installation?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, yeah. So we're gonna do item 9B before 9A.
Yes. Right. Yes. Yeah, so I had the pleasure of working with members of the Ceramics Club in my, isn't it? There we go. My contact has been Linda, and so we kind of met and reviewed kind of what their intention was of this project and what they were asking for. And so really what they're looking at is approval of a public installation by the Ceramics Art Club, and they're looking for approval of space, really. So we can use part of what is, basically our RWC open area that's currently maintained by Landscape and put together a public art project there, something site-specific, something developed by Rossmorians that are members of the club. And I'll talk a little bit about the project and the support that it will involve from landscaping and facilities, which is nominal, but kind of baked into the budgets. We do a lot of work in supporting, clubs within the operating budget. So the proposed project, it's similar, so this isn't the project, but it's very similar to what you're looking at here. And so what they'd like to do is to fabricate a mosaic mural that's mounted on these panels. And I'm gonna show you the location site. The approximate size are you're thinking about 2 10 by 7 foot panels. So it's 7 foot from the top to the ground with about a foot clearance. So maintenance can be done around them. In the proposed site, again, it's behind the Ceramics Art Studio and it's south, it's on the lawn area, south of the totems. And specifically, they're trying to put something kind of like they're backing it up on that grass area.
So when you show that, is that against the building or is it blocking the view of the trees and the?
It's actually more blocking the building and the air conditioning unit.
Okay. Got it.
That's, if you would have, yeah, so there's that funny fence with the air conditioning unit.
Mhm.
Actually, the bad resolution of this photo disguises it a little bit, but if you're out there, it looks like the back of a building.
Mhm.
So it's being pushed back there. So it enhances the area more kind of because it takes on more of a sculpture garden feel. So I think one of the things that's really impressive about this is that they have networked with some incredibly credible public artists to advise them on this. So the way this would be fabricated is the Ceramics Art Club would be designing and actually creating the tiles. Linda mentioned John Toki. There's another woman named Amanda Larson who actually fabricated the panels that we're looking at, and those are the ones in the artwork that we're using as the example. So just, I have a little bit of a background as a public art project manager. And when we look at these, we want to make sure that things are durable, they're engineered properly, and that they don't become some type of a maintenance issue or some type of, if installed improperly without engineering in mind, that they could become, hazardous. And they've checked all the boxes for that. I mean, they have some of like pretty renowned people advising them, which is super impressive. And so what these experienced public artists would be advising on specifying the materials, because when you do ceramics outdoors, it's different than other applications which are for the interior. They probably had that same type of advice, I would think, when they did the totems, because they really stood the test of time. John Toki has also done engineering design for public art, and he has offered to do that for this. And they would be advising on the installation. And then again, the actual fabrication of the pieces is by a woman, Amanda Larson, who fabricates these panels, and they are installed in different places and have been very durable. It's a successful way to do this kind of mural effect.
I think they have one at Ruth Bancroft Gardens.
I think they do, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Same lady?
Amanda assisted with the fabrication,
fabrication.
yes, and Donna Billick, who's worked on a number of public installations, was the artist involved in that garden.
So then the support from RWC would be from the landscape and the facilities departments. And so, I have a picture of this I can show you. And so essentially, I'm going to back it up to show you. So essentially, the landscaping team was planning to do renovation in this area next year. They really wanted to see if they could get that in the budget, and we'll talk through the capital budget, what's there. But if you were to look at this area, the bark is kind of like all over the place. They really wanted to make it more of a usable space. And so what they would end up doing is to make sure that the way like probably change this to decomposed granite. It's a little bit of a cleaner surface, easier to walk on if you want to go and experience the different sculptural pieces. So it would be kind of bumped back, or at least with a path, so you could get to the piece. And there would be some plantings around it too. So that would be what landscape would be doing. And then for facility maintenance, working with John Toki, they could give some of the labor to help with the installation. It's not that exotic of a installation, but you want people that are comfortable working with equipment and concrete and all that, and facilities can support that.
So this plans on being, you said about 7 feet tall and 10 feet long?
Like two panels of it. They're still trying to figure out the dimensions, because I mean, when I was talking with Linda, I said, we want to play the game of, you want to make sure it's something that we can install without cranes. So we want to make sure we get the weight right and the configuration right, but it's taking up about 20 linear feet, right?
And is landscaping going to supply like a pathway to it, similar to what we have for the totems? I mean, a way to get over to it?
That is the plan, and quite honestly, before we would go forward with anything, what we wanted to do is to basically, if this is something that would be approved by the board, then John would be able to put a schematic together, and by that time we'll know better what the design is, and we would bring all of that back to planning so they can, get final approval. But before we do that work, we wanted to get approval and concept.
And would landscaping have, take care of the other kind of weeded area there with landscaping around this?
They would continue, landscaping would continue to
Okay.
take care of that, but actually what they're trying to do is, when they go in, they're minimizing some of the lawn too, by putting some other, plantings in there and a little bit more decomposed granite. So it's a trade-off of a little bit more product this year for a little more reduced possibly water and maintenance effort in the future.
Years ago, that used to be a daisy garden. You here when it was here doing that? I think that's the only person who was here besides me is Jeff, but
Oh,
that,
cool.
every year, that used to be just a blanket of just yellow daisies in
Good to
that
know.
whole thing, and it was really nice, and then they took them off. And then it turned to weeds for years.
I think this is a terrific project. I do have a couple questions. That picture really troubles me because I don't understand. Is the tree coming out? Is the?
No, the tree isn't coming out. We're not
I mean-
removing anything that's there. It was, let me tell you, it was hard to go back there and to figure out how to show where it is, but it's generally on the lawn. It's on the lawn.
So it's
Generally, it'll
The
screen
yellow
there.
is
parallel.
the screen.
Parallel to the building wall,
It may be angled.
a little bit.
Because part of it is we do need to work with John to make sure that we're not, interfering with, again, first of all, it's not gonna be, the foundation isn't gonna be, going so far that we're gonna be disrupting root systems, but we do wanna make sure that we're within a certain perimeter away from the tree and all that.
So
There
we'll wait
needs to
for
be, so there needs
drawings
to be
on
more
that, but-
specific coordination of site. Like, I would never ask for site approval based on that. So we want to see the specifics, and John needs to see it too. I think we're important.
And it's more permanent than that, we saw two different types of structure. The first one you showed in that garden was, you don't have to go back.
Those are
It was-
permanent. Yeah.
That was wood going down, which will.
It's
rot,
actually
And the ones
steel.
laying on the ground were metal.
I think they were probably Corten, so they probably like colored, but it's all metal.
Pictures were
Okay.
It's all
steel.
metal. Yeah.
So the piece that was in the ground was actually the fabricated of the
Yeah.
pieces that were laying on the ground.
It probably just had weathered, and it was Corten.
So my second concern, and we're not there yet, but what's the approval process for what the art will look like? Because art is in the eye of the beholder. We know lots of public art projects that have lots of controversy around them. What is the process going to be like for that approval?
Well, I'm not an art person per se. I don't know, you know.
Everybody is in their own way.
Yeah, I guess a little bit.
I mean, so I will say that we don't have a public art program. We don't have a public art review thing. But generally, as staff, I would just be looking to make sure it was not obscene. Didn't have
Well, we'll know it if we see it.
no blue content,
No
Oh.
half masked flag on
you know, so basically you would want to stay, you would want to stay away from politics,
there.
right?
Nudity.
Sexual content, sexually explicit content,
Yes.
religious.
So what is that
Preferences.
process?
So they're actually going to work with an artist to do the design, and I think before it gets fabricated, we bring that back with the whole packet.
Not that we need to sign off on that, but I just wanted to know
Not
that
to
there
sign
is
off.
a process.
Yeah, yeah, you
how
don't want
do-
to, sign off on it, except you want to make sure that there's nothing in there that may trigger one of our, communities of interest or something like that.
So how did we get the totem poles? What was the process we went through for that? Because those are, I think those are
I
really
think
cool.
they're, yeah.
And, but I don't know what process we used, so that would be a good.
Exactly sure. Do you have the history on that?
I do.
Mm.
So the totems were proposed in much a similar way.
Mhm.
And each one of those totems had a theme. And John Toki drew out exactly in a schematic what each one of the totem pieces should be in terms of size, because weight was one of the considerations. And then each one of the artists that worked on a piece of the totem sketched out what they were going to make. So we've already started that process. When we had the meeting and the presentation on community projects, I was just having them in to make a presentation of kind of cool things that they've done. And the membership got very excited. So our next step has already been, okay, members, give us your ideas. So I've got a whole sheaf of ideas from them. And functionally, in terms of design, if you put all of those ideas kind of through a funnel, it comes through pretty loud and clear. Much like the totems, it's a representation of Rossmore. And what Rossmore, without it being a advertisement, but what Rossmore means to me, what Rossmore means to us. It's a community project in this community. So I think, you're gonna see in the design a representation of the flora, the fauna, perhaps some of the ancestral history of Rossmore, the activities that are important to people, whether that's golfing or tennis or pickleball or dancing or any of the art clubs, whatever that might be. And we've done a lot of research in terms of how successful murals, much like this one at UC Davis, are created, and they start that way with input from the people that are going to create it. And then there is the design process. And we have several members, including Darila, in the club who are artists, who are designers. And so we will start there, you know, putting those ideas together and drawing it out. And I think that, again, coming through a funnel, and whether this is 2 10-foot panels or 3 5-foot panels, it'll take up that same amount of space, but we'll have a theme across.
Okay, great.
Much like the totems, have a general theme, and then each one had a design and a specific theme.
Great. Thank you very much for that explanation. Any other questions? I think we need a motion.
We do need a motion on that.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I will move that, I'm not quite sure what we need to approve at this point,
So we're approving this, it would be for the site,
okay?
like, and then the next, then we're just asking for the site, and then the next one is the site plan.
Okay, so I would recommend that, or I would move that we recommend to the board that they approve the proposed site for installation of a mural by the Ceramic Arts Club.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Roll call. Deputy?
Okay. Walker,
Yes.
Selden,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
and Byron.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Excellent. We look forward to that beautiful installation.
Yeah.
Thank you. There'll be more to come.
Okay, thank you. So now back to the capital budget for 2026. This is the first look.
It is the first look. So this committee had quite a bit of homework, and so I'm sorry I didn't get it out as early as I wanted to, but thank you for your patience. So today what we wanted to do is to talk about the whole of the capital budget, which is actually in 3 parts. So we have the capital projects, the machinery and equipment, and then the RWC facility and property improvements. And if you recall, that's a body of products and line items that were moved from the unallocated 800 budget of the operating budget, and we moved those into capital. So before we start looking also at the sheet of projects, I just want to remind everyone that this year, we're using a new tool that was created by members of this committee led by Adrian and Ted. And so what you're going to see when you look at basically we have the budget of all the projects, and it incorporates the line item for machinery and equipment and the RWC improvements. For all the projects, you're going to see that they have priorities. And you'll see a numeric one and a letter, alphabet. It was an alphanumeric.
Yeah.
Cody says, okay. And this is where it came from. Now, unfortunately, we can't do 2 screens, so I don't know if you have it someplace to refer from. I have a couple of these. Yeah, I have a couple of these if you want to look at them as we're going through them. Yeah. I thought to bring them because of that for the people in the room. You can share. But I just wanted to remind everybody that the way these things appear and the numbers didn't happen in a vacuum. And the committee did ask for staff to kind of take a stab at it. We're not American. We just did the best we could. All right, so let me just change the document I share without.
If you want to tap, if it's already open, you can tap on it.
Oh, I can, except I can't see it because it's blocked. Oh, there we go. I'm just trying to find something here. All right, so what we want to start with is this, okay. So what this sheet shows you, it's a roll-up, if you will. Well, it's a detailed line item of every one of the capital projects that we're putting in here, and it includes carryover projects, which will say carryover. We were having a hard time saying how do you prioritize them because you don't want to have them compete against projects that haven't been considered yet, because we've already been spending on them and doing project work on them. And then towards the bottom of the, towards the bottom of the sheet, you're gonna see the total for all the projects, and we wanted to include the proposed machinery and equipment total for this year, as well as that improvements line item. And again, those are the funds that we're moving from operating into capital. And if you look at that total, so the total capital budget includes all those three different sections. What we also wanted to show you, and this is gonna be a fun thing for everybody to look at. Okay, so we also then took those numbers and put them into the cash flow. Because what we wanted to make sure as we were putting things together is that when you look at the bottom line, everything that we're proposing would still, if you look at the, oh, my cursor does show, if you look at the net of everything, we can, so everything there still leaves us with a $2 million, a little bit more than a $2 million fund balance, which is always our goal. So this is our starting, so we're starting from a healthy place, the discussions.
And how we populated this is current year estimate at 380, we adjusted that for sales. And then the 17 represents kind of the average of going to 18 by April 1st. So we would go to 14 January 1st and 18 April 1st. It averages out to 17. So I use 17 there. And then still maintaining the 400 sales that could be debated at finance. But based on that, that's where we come up with the revenue and the expenditures. It also accounts for moving over the current balance in the reserve fund for the RWC facility maintenance.
Can we see the description to the left?
Just slide it to the left a little bit.
Yeah,
We don't have the attachment.
no. So the description for
A
the,
little bit more.
it's available, the available cash.
So the 7.5 million expenditures includes the debt payments, right?
Yes.
Yes, it includes everything. Oh, I see why I can't do it.
Is this an eye test?
Yeah, you know what,
Letter A
so
or
you know what
B?
I was trying to do? I'm trying to move it so I can just like
Yeah.
jog it over this way. And of course, my little, there you go. You can see it a little better, a little better.
Oh,
We're getting there.
There you
definitely.
can slide it over.
There we go. There you go.
There you go.
Whoopsie, I'm in the wrong year.
Yeah. And of course, this is a finance committee consideration, but you know, the important thing about looking at this from the planning committee standpoint is taking a long-term view. We're not just talking about 1 year. What does it look like going out 5? We're going 5 years on this?
Oh, they had asked for, we've been doing 10 now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, on this thing.
10-year spending plan is a better way to look at these things.
and we haven't populated really beyond kind of some placeholders beyond 26 right now. That'll kind of evolve over the next year.
So the items in whatever color that is, blue, that came over from the FMP, a number of those line items were rejected during the FMP process and not a part of the final report. And I don't really, my personal opinion, don't like seeing them reappear for consideration when they've already been rejected and not included in that final report. For example, water reclamation plan, the playground, walking pads. I think we should
Confuse
review
things
things
a little bit.
So do you want, so are we getting,
So we can go back to the final adopted facility master plan and pull the list a little bit there.
Okay, because then it doesn't require action on our part, because that action was already taken by planning.
And then subsequent to that, because in the final facility master plan, there is still like the water reclamation, there is still the walking paths, but those subsequently were removed. So
Okay.
there's been a few steps even since the master plan was adopted.
Mhm.
So we can change that too.
But I think the key issue here is that the
Available
balances
cash, yeah.
flow well. And given the progress we're making on the medical center, I think that will have a positive impact on this.
Right. Okay, any questions on this? We're really focused more on the elements in the capital budget rather than cash flow at this point. That's finance committee's responsibility.
But I know at least you feel like everything that we're presenting, we didn't want to give you pie in the sky, but at least.
Right. No, that is very helpful to know that.
Although we like pie in the sky. There's nothing wrong with that.
White lightning.
Yeah, wait, all right. Okay,
As we go through this over the next couple of months, one of the biggest things is for us to reconsider priority that's been assigned. Because if there is a moment where we say, oh, finance committee says we don't have the money that we're projecting on this cash flow, then the priorities that are assigned here start to impact what projects are undertaken. So that's one of the things we should focus on.
The carryover projects, those they're in process, right? That's not what we're
and it's,
looking at
and
here.
there's already funding that's been,
Yeah,
funding
we've
has
already-
been approved,
yeah.
right? So if the funding has been approved, now, does it mean you could just say halt it? Yeah, you can always do. But we didn't, again, from a staff perspective, we're just, we're assuming that there's momentum going forward on them, but you have to let us know. And then we make changes.
Janet?
Under food and beverage, it's up to now 250,000. I thought we just approved amount for tenant improvements. It's not that figure. So why
So
is
this
this
is for
figure
next
so
year.
much bigger?
No,
That's the carryover
Carryover.
projection. So the total amount that was approved was up to 625.
why don't I go through how to
Oh, I
read this?
see.
Would that be
Got
helpful? So let me go, and this
I
is.
thought they were
yeah.
adding.
And so this is the confusing thing that's gonna happen as you get capital budget updates, but then you're looking at projected. Okay, so this is projecting what our capital budget's gonna be next year. So when you look at, and that's a really good line item to look at. Okay, so it's line
Oh,
5.
I see, approved.
So the total amount approved to date is in that first box. So everything that's been approved, so it includes the project work that we were doing. Oops, I think I have an error in there. I think an extra 100. So, but it includes everything that was approved for the synergy study, and then we just approved 650. So that actually should be 7. Clearly I'm manually adding these things.
7, not
It should,
8.
yeah, so I gotta make an adjustment to that. But those prior year expenditures, so it includes that we anticipated we would be spending about 500 before the end of this year, plus all the money for the 59.1 has been expended for synergy. So then the balance of it is what's getting carried over.
I see, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, in actual
that's right.
fact, in actual cash flow fact.
Yeah.
The 600,000 hasn't been spent yet.
Right.
Right.
And so
will
it kind of doesn't matter, right? So it doesn't matter if we start the next year saying, oh, we really only spent 200 this year, then we'll carry over the 450 next year. But for planning, these are estimates.
Yeah.
But that cash flow is always
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
Got it, right. So, again, this is a roll-up of the individual sheets. Would you like to just discuss it this way for now? Do you want to look at the individual
I think we
sheets?
should look at the sheets.
Right, because I think there's going to be information based on a lot of the questions that you may say, hey, can staff come back and give us more information about these different elements?
And I think what Dwight was saying about priorities, that's really what we should be, as a planning committee, we should be focused on. And so
Yes, yeah.
sort of spreadsheets are not really appropriate in some sense.
Just a question about the RWC administration relocation. That money that we're doing for that study, for all that stuff, isn't that coming out of the money from the defaulted sale on the?
Yes.
Yep. So I'm just trying to understand, we're showing it here, should that have a separate line area where the money, because it's not actually the money that we're coming up with now for, in our budget, you know what I'm trying to say?
But it's part of the cash flow.
We reflect it up top, but then we adjust the bottom. There's a line item that tracks those expenditures specifically. So we capture it down below. So the money's,
See that?
so
Okay, 686.
you'll see that go down as we expend those
Yeah.
funds.
Okay,
It's the offset.
so let's dig in.
All right. So starting with pavement. So this is kind of one of those things that we have so much road and we try to make sure that we're taking care of the most eroded areas, if you will, from year to year. And so it's difficult for us to say what we'll be doing next year because what we've been finding is sometimes you have to change because you'll see failure when you didn't expect it or you thought you might be able to get another couple of years. I will tell you that Martine does keep kind of this projected like amount out. And I don't want to say it's arbitrary, that's not true, but it's like you'll never have enough money, right, to keep every piece of road like in pristine condition. So we've been trying to norm it to spend about $1 million every year. And so usually there are about 3 different sections of road. So I know he has like more than that identified, and it's a matter of which one is going to be in most need by the time we get to the bid.
Okay.
So a question about that, and it just so I'm trying to get more clarification on how we're looking at all this stuff here. I mean, the priority number,
Yeah,
that's our pyramid, right?
that's your pyramid.
So should that be long-term structural protection instead of safety?
I agree with that,
It should be a 2A instead of a 1A, although I know it could possibly be safety.
I think it's a 2B.
Whatever you want.
But I think we really,
It's a
it's a should have, yeah, it could
It's
be
a should
that,
have,
it could
yeah.
be a 2B and still, but I just want it in our heads so
or
that
not 2B.
we're carrying the same weight with that. We know we need to do it,
Yes.
you know? Just because that number changes it's not a 1, doesn't mean it's like at the top of the list. It is something that we have to do. It's something that should be at the top of the list, but I'm just concerned about.
I like a 2B. Any other, Adrian? Janet?
Well, I'd sort of say it's an A because
I
the
think-
roads are necessary.
I agree.
And have to be maintained
I
and
say A.
so, but I agree that it's more about long-term than it is about safety, so 2A would be my vote.
I'm a 2A also.
2A will keep.
2A, okay.
I vacillated on it.
And how many miles of road do we have?
14. Oh, was that a good-
Total?
Was that a good guess?
I don't know. Do you
Doesn't
know how many?
sound like very many.
It's
Yeah.
14.
Okay.
I have walked every single street in Rossville.
So, okay,
I've only done the one up to Dwight's house twice, though. That is a climb.
It's a climb.
Sacred Indian, they'll kill you.
okay.
It's good for you. Next.
Let's carry over.
So
We
then,
don't really need to discuss carryovers, do we? I don't see anything that we would not consider
Yeah.
moving forward with.
okay, so that's the fitness center roof. Then we go to the next one, which is pickleball
Those are carryovers.
carryover. Yeah.
I think we're down to 6, right?
97.
So we want to go down to,
Hillside, park space.
okay, where are we? Here we go.
Could I ask for one enhancement on these sheets?
Absolutely.
The title of the project is so small and I overlook it. Is there a way to make that bigger just for public consumption?
I will absolutely, and I also think it's because it's flat. I'll figure that out. Yeah. That's where we are. Oops, I went too far. So for this project, that's right, because we didn't approve any funding for this. So what we want to do is to take a look at the different park space at hillside, let's call it Hill Park, hillside, and create a master plan. And so it initiated, this whole idea initiated with what started as a discussion about replacing turf on lawn bowling. And with that, you actually get more play during the year. And I think there'd been anecdotally, there'd been discussion of, oh, does that mean that perhaps bocce might be able to assume like one of the courts, whatever. And so the piecemeal approach is one way to do this, and we could probably go back and just say, okay, look at the turf, whatever. But it seems that, you know, you're focusing on, we know lawn bowling has needs, we know bocce has needs, and then they've come to us about other things like shade structures and, you know, like more permanent shade structures instead of the canopies that are out there, and more courts, because they are kind of packed there, right? I think their club is 500 now. It's pretty close to 500. And so the idea is, well, we know those two groups which are existing have needs. Are there other types of things perhaps in the evolution of Rossmore that may be out of this, you know, an engagement process might come up with some really good ideas on how to reprogram the use. So we put in here to do that process with the landscape architect firm, to go through the process, have, you know, community meetings, the design charrettes with community is 95,000, and so it's proposed to do that in this year. So that's what you're looking at. It's for developing the master plan.
So what about the buildings themselves? I mean, the hillside buildings, those are, you know, clearly at a point where they're going to have to, something be done to them. They're in some ways part of the park. If you were to look at the bocce, et cetera, I mean, if you're trying to make it ADA compatible, for example, you're gonna have to deal with the buildings. So I'm just sort of saying, should our scope on, I'm in support of doing a study, but should our scope include the buildings? And take a look at that, sort of that whole space and say, what could we do with it? What should we do with, what opportunities do we have?
So that is a line item on the facilities master plan to consider the hillside buildings. I think we need to keep them separate at this point in time because that's a Pandora's box to open that.
Well, I mean, it seems like if you should at least see the options available to you.
Maybe we should have a review of that item from the facilities master plan.
Yeah, because it's in there.
Yeah, and it involves
It does include.
refurbishing, I mean, it's, all the options are there, what
Yeah.
can be done
Mhm.
for the buildings. Did not address.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, the two are integrated though, or, you know, the buildings and the, I mean, at some level they're integrated and.
There is a master plan for the buildings.
Mhm.
Yeah, it already exists.
Yeah.
Would, just a question with the, at a certain dollar point, doesn't the city step in and say, okay, if you're gonna spend this kind of money, you have to do this and this? Would there be other, so that's just something to toss out there about when they're looking at that whole over plan, are they gonna look at what will this trigger? Such as if we're at a certain dollar point, we might have to ADA that whole area where the lawn bowling is and everything.
But the thing, like the master plan is really this comprehensive, how do you use the space? How do you, like, what are their needs? What amenities would need to change, stay in place, all that. How we execute it, that's what they're gonna look at. It's what you pull the permit to do. So you can phase things. You know what I mean? So there's a possibility to phase things. And depending on that and those numbers, or if it's like where it's located, then it's gonna trigger different ADA things. And we're not gonna get around that. I mean, at some point, it's gonna be, you know, something that we're gonna need to address.
By the way,
doing
I
it in
think it's
smaller
a
bites,
3.
It's
It
not-
could actually be a C. The only thing that moves it up to a B for me is water conservation, because that is a major cost to us.
And maintenance of.
And maintenance,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, switching to turf, I mean, would save us quite a bit on the annual operating cost.
Yeah, maybe close to $200,000,
So
so.
it may pay for itself.
3B is, in my opinion, anybody else have a thought on that?
3B?
I think it fits in 3B
Yeah,
better.
I do too.
I do, looking at what we, how the verbiage is in those.
So 3B it is.
Going down to,
Carryover. On the bridges, there was a statement here about there's 12 bridges that need to be replaced. Are they, is this what we're doing first? Is that all 12 or just
no, so this is just for
Two.
two of them.
two? Okay.
What the efficiency of doing these, and we're going with, we'll be picking some prefab. We'll understand how to do it more efficiently for the successive bridges.
And also, these two are the ones that are causing the most
safety
erosion area, and that's why those two bridges were picked out of all the 12 that are out there. So there is, and I think there will be kind of a pecking order even after that as to what is the next most important one that is causing damage or creating a situation or stuff, and you'll just go down the line until we're.
Sure.
Are we projecting those bridges in the 10-year plan? 5-year?
We will
Because we
be.
should look
No, I
beyond
think
the two.
we need to, and I will say that currently there's this 600,000 placeholder, which was kind of a best guess. Once we know the cost, I think we'll be able to update that for next year.
We should anticipate that.
Yeah. Good point.
So down to 9A11 of the packet, and it's the Gulf Water Conservation Project. And so this is work that has been happening on the golf course. We deferred it this year, again, part of that, managing cash flow. But they want to complete the turf reduction on the back 9. And so we're hoping that we can do that in 2026.
So again, I think that's a 3B.
Mhm. Yeah.
We
Oh,
should do it.
I have a question though. If it's like with your, so I'm just kind of curious about when I was looking at this. So when it says essential for the organization's mission, I did it because it's like one of the only board goals. that
water
the water conservation is
conservation,
one of the
yeah.
only thing that gets reflected in here, so.
Well, thanks for thinking of us. I still think it's a 3B.
Yeah, I just wanted you, I'm not trying to make everything an A.
Yeah,
That's under. my
Anybody else
shot.
have a thought on
yeah,
that?
because the board goals don't really match, are sort of distinct
Separate,
from this.
okay,
Yes.
all right.
And I don't think 3B, it doesn't mean that it's not important, right? It means it's
We
falling.
should do it.
The 3, we gotta start putting thinking 1 to 5, high to lowest is not a rating on, it's more of a rating of what does it affect? And this, and 3 affects, it fits
Okay.
right in on cost efficiencies.
Yeah.
Okay,
3B.
Okay, 3B
like
it
that
is.
explanation.
So it does mean in the future, we gotta look at this thing a little differently. It's not about the number being
Yeah.
number 1, we gotta work on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think people unfortunately will interpret it as,
Yeah.
oh, you put that as a 3, not a 1.
All right, so the next one.
The Janet plan.
Well, but this is why it's come through as a master plan. It's tempting to say, can we just go in and change this or change that? One of the things with this particular structure is many times these small things are never as small as they seem, because as it touches substructure to base, it's an older building, which probably needs a little bit more attention. And so if you kind of go and scale back, it's like, but what is if you're gonna do some planning, it's also good to measure against, what is the use? How do we make the most efficient use of this? And then from that, then make a plan of attack. And again, you can phase things, so you can make the bites very consumable. But the idea is to use this year to develop a master plan for the Dollar House, so that then we can kind of more responsibly, strategically figure out then how to make improvements. to the
Choose each
space.
year or every couple of years, what piece we're gonna do.
That's the whole kind of goal with this one is over the years, we have deferred with the thought of one day we're gonna do
One
this
day.
grand upgrade of this facility. And meanwhile, those deferrals keep kind of mounting. So in doing this master plan, it would be with the intent of breaking it into bite-sized projects that make sense over the next 10 years. So each year, we're kind of picking a project within it, whether it's restaurant, but it all fits together within the overall.
Did we have something from ELS that had a drawing of, it seems to me I saw something, there was an elevator on the outside, there's a redo of the.
So we've
I don't
done
remember all the
some
pieces.
planning on this over the history, but that planning was always with the intent of it would be one big project. We've never really looked at it on how could we do kind of overall upgrades.
So it does exist in the FMP report, but what you're saying is that needs to be planned out more.
Yeah, a lot.
It's like
FMP report isn't a
starting-
master plan, it's
Yeah.
more of a, like,
Yeah,
it's a
kind of
higher level concept.
kind
yeah.
of stuff. This would actually take into account specific areas, the overall plan. How do we break it into parts? So, you know, one part might be the addition of that elevator. One part might be the, you know, south or east wing kind of deal.
And we'd
East
hire
wing.
someone, we'd hire
Tara, you know what to
someone
do about it.
who could figure out,
Facilitate that,
and
yeah.
also what to do first, like
Yes.
what makes sense.
Because you don't want
Like,
to redo work
redo
that
the
you've just
bathrooms,
done.
and that might mean do something first, so.
Yeah.
I think it's a fabulous idea, absolutely, I 100%.
So I'm kind of going with a 4C on that, if we're looking at research on it. If we're looking at doing a study and figuring out then what we're gonna be doing. Because it really is something for the members. That is an amenity that's really nice for the members.
Although Ted, I look at number 2 and say, long-term structural protection. To me, that is so appropriate
Yeah.
for this building. I mean,
If it's gonna be part of your future, we have to do something
It's
with it. I mean,
teetering.
it's been neglected
It's just
for.
got grass growing inside of
It
it.
does, yes, it does. We try to keep that down.
makes a good salad. So, Ted, are you wed to?
No. I just was going over the stuff and I was thinking about it, it's a facility for the members and for me to forfeit that better, but I am not locked into anything on that. I could go that way too, because that is for structural protection. You know, it's a 1932 building or something like that. So
Almost 100 years old.
yeah, we don't, you know, I could go to, you said 2B or 2C?
I sort of like
To
2B.
be, to be. I mean, it is the
need
most
the space.
used clubhouse and it gets a lot of wear and tear. And as you've said, we've deferred that for so long.
Yeah, I think 2B is.
I can do that, I can do 2B.
Right, to be.
Okay. I don't know about the quote of most used clubhouse, but
I
the
think,
KPI task force will take that on.
well, I asked Dan one time.
It actually is the most hours of use.
Most hours of use. There you go. There you go.
They're smaller spaces, but it's occupied more
Yeah.
than any other clubhouse.
Interesting.
Person hours is not.
Highest occupancy rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I'm so sorry. So then the next one, so it becomes one of those things where we wanted to put this in, it kind of came in as a separate amenity that if we could enhance it would be great. It came as a question through the community.
Yes, yes.
There is so and basically what this is in the park space where you have that big stage and all the picnic areas. At one time, there used to be electrical. And it's failed and it can't just be improved where it is because it really wasn't, it wasn't installed, I would say, in a way that we would not do it now, that way, okay. And so in order to properly install it, it didn't populate.
What?
Oh, it just didn't populate up here, which doesn't mean it's not in the budget. But the cost for this is $140,000 to do it properly.
It's more than one electrical spot.
Yeah, so
right?
basically what
Because
it's
there's
doing is-
other party areas
Yeah,
that
it's-
people need
So it's
electrical.
creating basically the hub closest to where the stage is now, because many other clubs kind of use that. We were having requests for us to go in staff and bring generators, like, we don't want clubs managing fuel. We don't want to have our team doing that on a regular basis. It's beyond what we do. And then even at the smaller picnic sites, like people don't have the ability anymore, which at one time they used to just to kind of like do plug and play for things. So we wanted to restore that. And all that being said, it could also be addressed as part of the master plan. It is electrical, it's new service, and so that could be a tie-in to the greater facility. So,
Because the electrical comes from
From-
the Dollar
yeah.
Clubhouse.
so we wouldn't want to like redirect it if it was determined that there was a different way to do it.
So would this include essentially bringing in new utility panels to the dollar?
Potentially,
And
yeah.
sort of
So basically,
essentially so that we wouldn't have to, when, later on, when we redid it,
It's like a two for.
we would actually have the power there available to run an elevator, for example.
right, and so what we don't want to do is like
Yeah.
overshoot the electrical draw there if it's needed elsewhere, because that's the other thing, there's like limitations all around the valley. And so,
And the bottom line is you may program this, but it may be something we want to delay actually
Until we get
till
the
we
master plan.
better understand the
Master
requirements of a master plan.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And with that,
so just keep it on the list and fold it
Right.
in almost to the master plan, and just saying we also want to, because I think any of these things that we do, basically with any of our buildings, they're going to have to understand the electrical requirements, because again, these things have been changing throughout the valley.
so if they do electrical upgrades, would that mean digging up any of that lawn? Because we also discussed the fact that that lawn is in terrible, terrible
We're
condition.
going to talk about that with the improvement budget,
Okay,
because that is one of the things that I know that landscaping wants to take care of. But they didn't want to program that to like 27. And so again, when we, like, let's say that there's an approval of the master plan, you kind of have to look and just like, now you got to play whack-a-mole, right? So if you do this, then this, then this. And so if we know that we have this like lawn improvement coming up, we'd want to know, well, should we be doing stuff? Because even if you don't want to do electrical, you can put conduit in before you actually do the, so there are different things that you can do if it looks like we're heading in that direction at some point, even if we don't do electrical before they do the lawn.
okay.
So everything feeds together. It's
So
Tetris.
to me, the Dollar House master plan, both the lawn and the electrical fall under that planning effort.
Mhm.
And those two line items here, 140 and 125,000, should be removed from the capital budget for 2026, in my opinion.
I'm sorry.
Until we have a master plan.
Yeah, so this should be removed. Yeah,
The 125 was for doing the master plan, wasn't it?
Well, there's
That's for this.
125 for the lawn, right?
no.
140
There's
for the
nothing-
master plan.
There's nothing for the lawn in this. It's like, it was kind of pushed out in a long-term projection.
Oh, I see, I thought it was down
No,
below.
no.
Okay, never
But
mind.
would
Okay.
you want whoever is going to be discussing the Dollar Clubhouse, I mean, are you gonna ask them also to look at the picnic area? Or is
Yeah,
that,
and I think
should
part
that
of
be
it could be, it could also be talking about the desire for electrical service there. It could be as simple as that to
Yeah.
incorporate it.
okay,
Right.
Because a building, somebody doing a master plan for a building they're not like the landscape expert.
right,
And you don't want to expand their scope simply to understand, can we
unless
pull,
they have
can we
that,
pull power?
unless they have that.
As they're
Sprouting
doing the mechanical, electrical, plumbing evaluation, we'll make sure they are aware that there's this extra need.
Yeah, and you need an extra 100 amps out
And-
there or something like that.
Is the amphitheater still on the facility master plan for that whole dollar area?
No,
It should,
Jeff wants it.
it was removed during the FMP process.
Okay, I just
Oh,
remember
what?
being on there.
Okay, so this is removed
So we can remove it.
for now.
Okay.
So do you want to carry it at the bottom of the list as something that came up, or just remove it?
I don't want it completely removed.
Like remove it without it, like, so I can show you back in the, I'll show you. So what you'll see like in the budget, at the bottom, that there's just future projects without a date or any commitment to
Yeah.
it. But there are things that,
The wish list.
yeah, they're more like a
Yeah,
wish
yeah.
list.
Yeah,
Or things that we recognize, but we're just not ready to do yet. because
So
we're
are we talking about the dollar electrical being moved to the wish list? Is that what you
Yes.
just said?
Yeah.
So,
Out of the capital budget.
okay, so if we have inadequate power right now, and that area is used all the time by bands and all kinds of stuff, and I've seen extension cords running from the bathroom, you know? So I
Yeah,
think that is something that is put both by individual clubs, individual parties, and also by stuff from RWC who puts on free concerts there and stuff, used all the time. I think that that's somehow, if we can take it out of there, but maybe add a little bit of money more into the Dollar Clubhouse master plan and put that as part of that whole area, I think it should be looked at. I think it should be
So we
looked at.
wouldn't, I would say we
But I
wouldn't
don't
be
want
done with the
anybody hauling
master
a
plan in
generator
this
out there
year.
either.
I would say we wouldn't be done with the master plan. Probably like it'll take a whole year, like if we get this approved, it's gonna take a while to do a master plan for that facility. And I would say, then you would prioritize the different items in it. If we put it on that wish list, we're always gonna be tracking it. But we don't know what again, we're not gonna know if we can do it until we get the evaluation of mechanical, electrical and all
Yeah,
that.
and keep in mind that even though you're kind of looking at an initial approval process, with the capital budget, at any time, we can come
dynamic.
back and say, we're ready to proceed based on the X, Y, and Z, and it's gonna cost this much. And then you and the finance committee evaluate, is it appropriate at this time? Can we afford it at this time? So just because it's not part of the initial, like setting the coupon, this doesn't have that requirement.
But to satisfy Ted, the scope for the Dollar House Facilities Master Plan will include electrical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It will include a mechanical, electrical, plumbing evaluation.
right.
Just one more
But
time.
Ted, are you okay with that?
Well, I want to make sure I'm okay with what is going to happen. And you can tell me more about the use of the stage. The stage is the biggest draw on power, but we do have power through the other spots there. How long can we go without having reliable electricity?
Well, we're fine because we will bring in generators. We bring in
On
generators.
your events? But there are events there that are not.
And they bring in generator. I mean, we're on like year 5 of this.
Yeah. So I mean.
It
like,
hasn't
can
been
we-
there for quite a while.
So I think it's worth not just spending money guessing for a year and just know that we're tracking it, I think is super important. And then, let's plan it.
And trying to get
Measure once, cut twice.
PG&E to show up and actually bring in
They
additional
show up
power.
evidently when you don't want them to.
Yeah, they love
It's
taking
going to-
up our roads.
It's gonna take a while, so we've got to get the number that we want, the number of amps.
Correct, but let's keep moving. It's
Yeah, I know, looking for it.
almost
I know, we
noon,
got lots of stuff.
and it's almost lunchtime.
Well, if we get through these today, you decide if you want to go. Which one? are
Which
we
one?
on? I'm sorry.
We're on
'cause I went-
9:14.
I know, I went back to.
We're on 13.
14.
So the next one,
Item 13.
here we go. So the next one is a request from Public Safety, and it's for additional security enhancements where Stanley Dollar Gate is. And I know you know that, explain whatever. I'm not so good with the roads. But essentially, it's, there's a gate there, and it's an area that's accessed by PG&E to come in and out of. And so there's been a rash of like vandalism to the gate. I will say that John Wraith has tried different type of lock mechanisms, all these different things to try to prevent it from being compromised. And there's been a bit of like issues with people coming through that area that perhaps we don't want to be entering.
Is that the little road that just comes off of, you get to that gate by going up that little short road?
Yeah, you go up the very top of Stanley Dollar, kind of weave through the mutual there and up to the very top. And that's the one that drops down into Lafayette.
So there used to be a secondary gate between our gate and Lafayette. Right.
And I'm not aware of a secondary gate. There's just the one at the very top right now. And that's the one that's kind of
Yeah.
controlled by PG&E.
There was a secondary gate, like on the Lafayette side,
Yeah.
but that was removed by a developer, and that's been creating this increase of
Traffic.
permeating our gate.
So why isn't PG&E paying for this?
It's. I don't
They're
believe
not
it's a big-
overly concerned about people connected to
They
Rossmore.
don't care.
Okay, I mean, because isn't it on their property or is it on ours?
No, I think it's on
It's on
our
ours.
property, and it provides access into Rossmore. So that's kind of our concern is making sure that we're protecting.
Yeah.
uh,
So the PG&E aspect is we share with them the key. Like that's what we've been doing. But it's like you'll see this little picture of people that came and just kind of cut everything off.
There's a number
Cut
of
through
locks up
fence,
there,
it's
I
just
think.
been, yeah.
Well, almost seems like a 1A.
Yeah, well, it's a safety thing. And this is the way emergency vehicles get into Rossmore too, if needed, right?
This is one of the main access points if we did need to have emergency vehicles access, or we had monitor egress as well. This is the most accessible other than the ones that drop onto Tice Valley Boulevard.
Mhm.
Next one?
We did go 1A on that one?
Yeah, yes, for 1A.
Okay.
So then the next one has to do with upgrades to the servers for the storage of our video footage. And so in the description, it talks about that currently, we really can't keep things, I think, for like more than a week with video footage. And a lot of times it takes a little bit longer than that for someone to come to us and just say, oh, somebody sideswiped my vehicle in a parking lot, whatever, and it's just not there anymore. So with this upgrade, we'd be able to expand retention to 30 days. We can also add some cameras, and I know that's been an issue, so you know, we get some really good information from Securitas to say, you know, these are trouble areas if we could only install a camera, but we just don't have the server capacity. So it would help us, you know, increase the security and again, be able to do follow-up and to work better with, you know, Walnut Creek PD. If it's something that we had to refer to them, chances are we'll, you know, with that 30-day retention, we may have more evidence to hand over to them.
And this is not for Rossmore TV. This is
Oh, no,
strictly
no, this
security
is
cameras.
strictly security camera.
I do not understand this. You can go to Amazon and you can buy 16 terabytes, an external drive. I just checked it this morning, $229. Okay. You need about 3 terabytes per camera for a standard HD camera for a month of capacity. For $229, I can take care of 5 cameras. How many cameras do we have? I just do not understand this number.
I would agree. I think there's got to be options in the cloud, wherever that cloud is. Yeah.
The cloud, it's $10 a terabyte with Dropbox. You can get it for about $1 if you buy S3 Amazon archive service, which would be adequate for this. You know, so I mean, it just does not make sense to me as a network person.
So what we'll do on this one as we come back to you with the kind of revised is have the technical folks in the room that can explain to you how they came up with that number, because this comes from both public safety and Securitas and our IT folks, so.
And maybe have some other options.
Yeah, because I mean, the way you normally do these things is you use a flash drive at the back of the camera, because you don't want to move that data from the camera all the way into the cloud or do anything with it like that, because most of it you're never going to use.
But I think I believe that is part of the cost most likely, because where the cameras are installed, we wouldn't be able to retrieve it if we needed to
We
use it.
actually want the
We want
download
it
to
downloaded.
our
But I mean, normally what you do is you do have a connection into it, okay? But it's a low bandwidth connection and you just do it, oh, okay, we need
Like as
this
needed.
5 minutes, go in and look at the flash drive for that 5 minutes. Or something of that sort. That's the way you do surveillance cameras.
Well,
So,
imagine the surveillance cameras that are on top of this building.
yeah.
Or, I mean, to go up and retrieve a flash drive or
you
that.
have a low bandwidth cellular connection. there's lots of ways of solving the connection problem these days.
We'll bring the
I
folks
don't
that came up with
understand
this
it.
number in.
Yeah.
They're speaking a different
So
language.
that's why we look at this in November, so that we have December before we get to
Yes.
January.
Okay. So then the next one is replacement of one of the firewalls. And again, this has to do with as we're, in particularly with, between NetSuite and as we're doing things with Mike Rossmore, whatever, my understanding is this highway. You could probably explain it better than I can, Adrian. But essentially, we need this in order to create more secure and a faster environment for the amount of data that we're kind of managing now. with all
Didn't
the apps.
IT have a yearly spend anyway on stuff for when they figured they're gonna have to replace equipment? It seems like I saw a line, it was almost like an
Yeah.
asphalt line.
They do-
you know,
they do
where
have a
they
projection
project it
for it.
out. And so we
Exactly.
had a number all
Exactly.
the time. Is this number in line with what they're normally doing? I mean, as it's going along, so.
I mean, it seems to be, I mean,
Cause I know there's a cost every year in IT.
yeah, and kind of like pavement, it's kind of like, oh, we can probably get a little bit more out of this, let's do this one, because everybody's trying to be thoughtful about
Yeah, well, the
getting
thing about
the
these
lifespan out of it.
devices is that there's the cost of the device, and then Cisco charges you something like $9,000 a year for the license to actually run it. And so that's what we see in the operating budget is the cost of all those licenses, and then there's this one. I would wish that we would actually sort of do an analysis of other alternatives rather than Cisco, because Cisco's the most expensive.
Well, that's the bidding process, right?
Well,
Or that's the.
the problem is with an IT department, you kind of get locked into, here's Cisco, we're using it, we understand it. Oh, okay, well, we need more capacity rather than switching to Palo Alto Networks or somebody else. So it's a bit of a thing, but I think it's time that maybe we should take a look at it. But that's not the planning committee's concern. So
What about the priority? Are we?
priority is to
It's an A, that piece of it, I think is correct.
Yeah.
So 2A is okay?
I think so.
All right with that, Janice?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
And then last on here is resurfacing of courts 7 and 8 at Buckeye. And so one of the, when those two courts in particular were presented, the idea was to do this full depth replacement. We understand that there are people that are sensitive to the bit of the grade variant, but not all are. Certainly with certain levels of play, we understand. But what we're trying to do is figure out, so how can we do this and program it in a way which at least takes care of the like really horrible superficial imperfections of those
ugly.
courts. Pretty well. And so what we're proposing is that we do the surface renovations of those. Now, I will tell you that with the rust spots, they're probably gonna leach through again.
How long?
It could be 2 to 5 years, whatever. But if, sometimes the ideal replacement, let's say the ideal replacement for somebody to resurface courts is every 7 to 10 years. So if we were on a schedule for that versus spending 350 plus now, it gets us a lot of years of resurfacing until you really start seeing the differentials.
And it's
in the
only
plane surface.
30,000 for both?
Yeah.
For resurfacing?
Anytime we go up there, the expectation should never be that the cracks won't come back. They come
Ever.
back quickly, their hairline cracks, they're part of just the foundation. You can fill them, you can tape them, you can do all kinds of things, but they come back. So here, you're gonna see cracks, you're gonna see the potting and the discoloration. But if we resurface even every 3 years for these two courts, you could do a lot of that before you hit 350,000 to
Yeah.
grind it down, replace the base and do all
Now,
that.
Do we know, oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
go ahead.
Do we know how often those there's 6 more beautiful courts down there. And the times I've been up there, they're not full. I mean, do those 2 upper courts need to be used?
Well, I think we have to look at it as there's an amenity there. It's not that, it's in how are we gonna take care of the amenity that's there? And, I don't think are you talking like abandon those courts? And just
Yeah.
But they're still gonna be they just
But
look
you-
terrible.
But don't go up there. You don't have to climb all the way to the top. I mean, it's a schlep to get to the top of that thing.
We've had tennis club members come here and
And they-
speak that
Yes,
they use
I know.
that.
Yeah.
And it depends what time of day. If you go there at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're
Yeah.
gonna be used.
Yeah.
You go at noon, nobody's there.
Nobody's there.
So,
Yeah,
we
they-
have to do this.
Yeah, they do use them heavily, like I say, before 11 o'clock, and then the club plays.
Yeah,
But will they be happy with just resurfacing?
well,
I
it's,
mean,
I think,
think it's-
I think financially it is the best way to go.
Okay.
Instead of
Yeah.
the
We already got
alternative.
thanked in advance.
I
Yeah.
know.
I mean, honestly, that
Yeah.
heard from the club president.
Yeah.
But I think it should be a 3B. in my opinion.
Yes. I think it's
Yeah,
great.
cost effective.
Yeah. And how often are we resurfacing the other ones? Are they on a 3 to 5 year
We
range?
just did them just
7
before you came on the board.
Mm, yeah.
Typical, you want to do 7+
Oh, okay.
years.
So this one, because of its structural nastiness, means that we will have to do it more often. Is that?
Probably because of the pyrites to keep them, because again, that stuff will leach, and at some point it may end up, when it becomes like the thing that becomes costly is when you have the surface differential, and it becomes trip hazards. And so at some point, those iron deposits could be corrosive and create that, but until that happens, you just want to seal it. And I do want to say, like, at one point, we were looking at these things called slip sheets, thinking that'd be a better thing for us to kind of minimize cracks and whatnot. For as much as that added to the cost, they wouldn't guarantee against cracks.
Mhm.
So what's the point?
So it
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
yeah, it's like a big rubber band that or like Band-Aid that kind of holds everything. It gives it more stability.
The
But
ground
even
still
that-
moves, so
The ground still moves, you still get cracks, and it wouldn't prevent the pyrites from leaching through that surface too.
Oh, okay.
Everybody okay with 3B?
Yep.
So what's missing? So I had a resident in my constituency get in touch with me saying, oh, I just moved in and there's pickleball courts across the street from me. What are you doing to minimize the noise there? Well, we're moving the courts to the new facility sometime in 2026. But what are we gonna do? There's been no discussion about what are we gonna do with the old courts, and I know it's come up several times, and Adrian, you brought it up. But it's something that we should be thinking about, and whether it's in the capital project budget for next year, we should be discussing it, I guess.
But that
And you talk about
air-
like sound, like
No,
sound.
no, what are we
Just
gonna
what
do
are
with
we
the
doing
old
in
ones?
general?
old courts.
The old courts.
I mean, you know that it's not a structurally sound location for anything major, because it's gonna because of the creek. So, I don't know, turn it into a garden, turn it into more parking, something, I don't know.
You can
I
get
mean,
parking, think about it, the weight of a car and you put all those cars on it, that's even gonna make it move faster than the creek.
Yeah,
So I don't think,
Turn it over to the garden club.
But maybe,
Orchard.
maybe some funding to scope what could be done there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we need to give that a little more, bring it back a little bit more detailed
Food
thought
trucks.
on what the options are there. Our initial thinking was we need to understand what the use and impact of the existing or the new courts are gonna be to see if there's gonna be a demand for any of those as well. So let us bring
So
that.
if it's a safety, keep complaining how they're unsafe. So why
well,
would
they
we
are, I don't
allow
wanna put any
them
money in them.
to use them?
I think they should be
Closed down.
closed down. I mean, because we shouldn't be spending operational money
Yeah.
on fixing those, maintaining those.
I agree with that.
I agree too.
One quick question.
Let's come back to you before you make that final
Susan has a
determination.
quick question.
We're continuing to have the reserve time in the gym for pickleball, even when the new facility opens. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So you want to come back to the planning committee next month on that?
Like to think about
Yeah.
how to propose it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do
Okay.
something.
All right, what else is missing?
So on transit, I mean, we've been sort of hoping for this grant, but the chances of that are probably low. And
What is your assessment on the chances of that, Jeff?
I think that even if this particular grant doesn't come to fruition, there's still opportunity to start to phase in some resources from CCTA. I think they are very anxious to be a partner with us.
so, but I know, but an agency like CCTA probably, if you say, we'll match your money or something of that sort, where, you know, you've got some, something in the game with them, they're more likely to make it a priority and move forward. So I just feel like we need to be focused on coming up with a solution here that will work within, if not a year, but certainly 18 months or so.
No, I agree. It kind of falls into that we can come back to you on this capital. I'd hate to put a, $400,000 or $500,000 plug in here without having a pretty definitive plan in place. But if we come back to you in 26 with, we need to match this, or we need to go on our own, here's the different elements, we can have something very specific.
But do we want to have a line item? I mean, we've taken a couple of things out.
At this point, I wouldn't know what to advise you how much that should be. We may have better answers before you go to approve this, in which case we could.
Okay.
You can always, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's at least put it down on the
On
wish
the
list.
wish list, yes.
Over
The
here.
wish
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, because
Remind us.
it will cost us
Under future
something.
projects.
Yeah,
No, I mean, even if we get a grant, you're still gonna have some expenses.
Okay. Anything else missing? Seems like that's a pretty exhaustive list now.
Mhm. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Well, you have the facility and property improvements list as well.
Oh,
Yeah, so you have, yeah, so
I forgot.
there's two more documents that are part of the capital budget. And so, what is this, page 9A18? Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
concrete.
So this is the,
This is.
I'm just making sure this is the one, yeah. So this is formally known as the unallocated 800 line item from the operating budget.
Which is meaningless to.
Which is meaningless to,
residents.
which is meaningless to residents. So what that was is within the operating budget, there used to be this fund. And every one of these areas were funded. We made one addition and I'll show that to you. And what the amount of money is for, so for instance, with street improvements and the one that would come to the board because of the total of the contract. So slurry seal, for some reason, was under operating budget and it can go back and forth, but it was under the operating budget. Because of the amount of those contracts, like we wouldn't move forward on those and we would bring them to the board. other things like concrete appears, they're smaller sections, and there are things that happen which are capital costs, but they're these ongoing maintenance kind of time is of the essence type thing. And so staff would have the ability to proceed with those repairs because they would be within Jeff's signing authority.
If I
So,
could interrupt you for
yeah.
just a second. So I think what residents relate to, and this is a part of a long-range plan, this is like a reserve study. These are items that an HOA would have in their reserve and replacement fund for ongoing maintenance of the facilities. I wish we had a better name that is relatable, because this is very important, and there is a giant spreadsheet somewhere. I've seen it.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so this
I
one
don't want to
doesn't
see it
have that,
again,
yeah.
but
But essentially it's-
accounts for planning 30 years into the future for these types of items. Really important.
And I will tell you what we added to this, because it really didn't exist anywhere, is the landscape item. Because our landscaping is aging. I mean, you'll see things which become very costly. So for instance, to replace the lawn at Dollar, it's about a $95,000 project. It's all the lawns around there, but that's substantial. And so we wanted to add that as well. John does have this like projection, and so it gives him the ability to be able to really go in and make sure that he can maintain this, the landscaping in this community. I mean, it is a huge selling point of the community. But we do have some really big projects that are happening on a regular basis that, again, he'll be able to, based on the contract, it comes to the board, but he's able to manage the landscaping a bit more successfully with this.
The thing that I find a little bit difficult with this is the street improvements at 475, and then we have the street item under the
Pavement, yeah.
pavement item, and it's like,
Yeah.
which
It's
is
a
what,
lot.
which is what and why. And
Sluicing versus.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
pavement is full depth, it's full depth, and they've always been separate and have always totaled about the same amount.
I understand that, but it would be, in some ways, perhaps,
Now that they're both under capital,
Just move
combine
that to
them,
the,
yeah, to make it realize, make it rather one unit.
just all under street maintenance.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
so put them all in the capital item?
Yeah, because I mean, it's
So just move street maintenance
Under
amount up
pavement.
to include that as part of the payment.
It may not be all of it though, because some of it are the smaller capital. So I think for instance, they just had to install the pedestrian signs, those additional signs, which again, and so those are in there. So I think the slurry seal part, is that the part that you want moved over?
well, I'm just sort of saying streets are streets. And if it's to do with streets, let's have a category that's streets.
Even if it's all under one, we can still pull those smaller items.
All right,
The intent of this is not to fund little one-off small things. These
No.
are project-based, like Ann just described, the replacement of the turf. It's landscaping, but it is a big landscape project. It's not, the ongoing maintenance still falls within our operating budget, within the departmental budget of landscape, custodial, trust or RWC maintenance. So all of those things still exist, and that's where those one-offs. These are kind of project-based, but they are things that come up that we need to be able to act on
Yeah.
quickly. So a water heater that is a $10,000 item goes out, we need to be able to act on those kind of things.
so I think administratively, like when we do the machinery and equipment budget, that's approved. The capital projects are approved individually. So we'd almost have to have pavement under, so this is where it gets just administratively, we would just need to have 475 like loaded, approved in the capital project so they can do those expenditures. Does that
Sure.
make sense?
Sure.
So it's gonna look, and I'm just trying to, we kind of have to talk through how we're gonna be reporting next year. It's gonna look a little different. It'll take a while for us to figure out like what you want me to report on. But as long as we can do that, then I think they blend, because most of that stuff is not.
Part of it is
Small
just
aggregate.
getting in line our authority to go out
Yeah.
and complete and spend, rather than some of the capital projects that you just reviewed, we bring back to you and
Yeah.
Board
stages,
approval,
get it
the-
to order.
Okay.
These are more things that kind of like the machinery and equipment, once you approve it, we go out and execute.
Yeah,
Okay, well, and if you, I mean, what you just said makes sense. So if it makes administrative sense to keep it under this category, I'm fine with that. You know, it's
yeah.
what makes administrative sense for you is the important thing, but it's just a little sort of categorical, like,
Here,
Right,
it's
yeah.
there, it's
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah. Some understand, some understand.
Well, but let's reach a consensus here. I agree, streets are streets, and let's move it to street.
Mhm.
We're calling it pavement program.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be called pavement program, it's street.
I think fundamentally though, so what I'm trying to do is protect the work that we've been able to preserve, like, because the slurry seal really kind of maintains everything. I know sometimes it's like, well, let's kind of defer what's on that capital sheet, and we can really kind of slip behind, which is why, again, the ability for the team to just say, like, we have that and the fluidity to go and tackle those projects, it's
Yeah.
important, and I think the way we change the policy, we may not have the fluidity to do that if we put it under capital, would we?
Well, it's
We
still-
can move
it's still
slurry
all
seal.
under
It's still capital.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's still all under capital.
But remember how, like, we needed to, like, if it's a project, it can't be a bunch of things that equal 5, but
Yeah, I
We
think,
just
I
changed
think
that.
regardless where it pops up, we could still administratively handle it the same way. I think where you're pointing out that if we scale back at some point, pavement always kind of gets tagged,
Yeah.
like, let's scale back.
because you can hit
And we
it.
don't want to necessarily leave this
Yeah, so what,
75 as
so
vulnerable.
basically what you're saying is that administratively, you want everything on this page to be approved, pre-approved, because these are things that just sort of are necessary on an ongoing basis. And unlike, they're not sort of up for decision.
Yeah, it's staff. Staff has these budgets that, it's sort of like the operating budget.
Yes, that's
You
right.
got these dollars to work with.
Yeah.
We just
Yes,
call
it
it
is-
something
It is
Yeah.
capital
Facility
type
and
project.
Right.
In the sense that it's 3 years or more lifetime, et cetera. But it's kind of like, you gotta do it. And so we need to recognize that everything on this page is sort of
Blanket approval.
it's a blanket approval, yes.
What about changing the name?
Yeah, blanket approval.
Blanket approval list.
Well, RWC infrastructure repair and replacement.
Yeah, because it's improvements implies that, an improvement implies,
Something.
I could do it or I could not do it.
Right.
Whereas maintenance, capital maintenance
We're
or
trying to
something
keep
like-
away from the term maintenance.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
That's
It's
operating.
Like
Yeah.
infrastructure management program,
Say it again.
infrastructure management program. Because a lot of times you'll call it like we have the open space tree management, defensible space management,
You use replacement the most
yeah.
in all the
Improvements,
categories.
replacement.
I'm trying to get something that's close to a reserve study
Yeah,
that
I understand.
HOAs are used to seeing.
Oh, what do they call them?
Reserve. Reserve and replacement. We're really talking about replacement.
Yes.
Yeah, more than improvement.
Yeah.
Let me just get rid of improvements.
Just call it-
RWC,
Just call it reserve and replacement?
Yeah.
I don't know about reserve.
No, we don't
It's not a reserve, because reserve, actually, you do have some choice.
Facility
Roof
replacement.
again, or this year or next.
Yeah, or
Replacements.
major repair and replacements. RWC, major repairs and replacements.
I'd throw the word capital in there, sort of like capital.
Replacement.
I'll tell you what, let's think about it for the next meeting.
Think about it for the next meeting. Okay.
Well, we're,
Yeah.
all
Come
Let's
up
ask
with a new
ChatGPT.
Okay.
right.
And then the last thing is the machinery and equipment. Which I don't know if you want to go through each of them, but it's
The
This
only
is
one I
where-
always pick on is lawn bowling.
Yeah, so this is the interesting thing, right? Because we actually do still have to maintain it until we decide what to do
Yes.
with it. And we do have a greens mower that's,
Can't borrow
Failed.
from the golf course.
they could,
Probably borrow it
they're
back
doing
the
it,
other way
yeah.
already.
I think that's what it is right now, so
I
it's
see,
just,
it's a
yeah.
common,
This is where if we were going to add a transit item, it would probably come here, whether it is the software or equipment, vehicle stuff.
So you wanna put it in this one?
We would add here.
I mean, it's hard for me to understand whether this is reasonable or not.
It's actually less than what we've spent in past years. Usually it's closer to 800, like 750 to 800.
You know,
They tend to, so basically what happens is this reflects equipment necessary for the continuity of the service level. There's not,
Mhm.
typically you don't see an extra. So for instance, like for landscaping equipment, they're asking for a trailer for the mower that they purchased last year, because right now what happens is there's like one trailer that gets shared for a bunch of pieces. So primarily it'll be used to transport that, which kind of saves Joel's time or a landscaper's time for moving stuff, and it can be used for other things, so it creates some efficiencies.
Well, like I said.
are we able to start migrating to EV vehicles?
I was just gonna ask that.
You know, some of this has to do with the infrastructure
I
for
think-
charging,
yeah.
but
Well, that, and that,
Study on that.
and also is the equipment at the level that we need to be using it right now? You know, I mean, will it match what our demand is?
right.
So you're getting more and more now the utility type trucks available. So you've got, I think, a couple different lines that are, you don't see a lot of, unless they're converted fleet, you don't see a lot of just like the, used to be the Ranger type in electric. It's the F-150 Lightning, and you're paying a pretty hefty premium based on the number of miles we actually drive those things. So we've done a cost analysis in the past, but it's been quite a few years since that time we update that.
It's in transition, right? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years
I know
from
at
now,
some
there'll
point,
be no
yeah.
question about it.
At some point, it's gonna look good. I just think, you know, I'm not saying it's something that is like, now is the time to make pull the plug. I don't wanna jump on that too early, because I know that those trucks get used. You know, they roll every day.
Big time.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an infrastructure in terms of the charging stations and capacity to do that.
What about hybrids that you don't have to charge? Are those any
I don't
better?
believe they have trucks that are hybrid capacity. Where this would probably make more sense is as we replace just our utility kind of vehicles. We have one EV, like the mail,
Yeah.
that kind of vehicle,
Scions
or
that we use.
that aren't used for actual transporting.
Heavy
Big
equipment.
stuff.
Mhm.
All right,
Okay.
anything else in regards to, I do have to ask what a Black Magic TV?
I don't know, I really like the name of it, so.
That's so they can play bingo. I don't know.
I don't
No,
know, it's the
know.
brand name and I really liked it. And
Oh, it's the brand name.
It's the brand name.
Oh.
Magic TV, yeah.
Just a TV camera.
Yes, Rushmore TV is, they have one which we need to replace it before it fails or people will be very sad.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like an end of life type thing.
Yeah.
Any other comments? This is a great first step, and I'm glad we started
Yeah,
here.
I know.
So it appears that we have a need for a December meeting with a couple items coming back, if staff agrees with that. And then we should be ready for a presentation. Well, we'll meet again in January before it's presented to the board. Finance Committee will see this when?
When do they see it? After the second time we come to them, right?
So January?
I think before the first reading of the board, so January.
Yeah, I think once we really lock in the planning committee's recommendation, we'll fine tune the 10-year plan, cash flow model.
and then we'll bring it to them and then to the board.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.